All right, and so this is our first ever cohort cafe with my fabulous Sphere 2 people. So I went through both the Level 20 Lounge and the Arcanum app, hand sifting all of you guys. So understand that my viewpoint is I got all the awesome. And I'm really excited to have this particular group with me during this whole Sphere 2 experience. It's new for me too. I basically just have been running my other group. My other group were a lot of people that I knew and knew well, so I'm getting to know most of you for the first time, and I typically always seek the good out in people. So know that I already see your wonderfulness, and I will see more revealed as time goes on. So I'm going to go my left to right. So that's Barry, Christian, Cindy. Okay, wait, I have to see who's here. Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Then Margaret, then Rick, then Stu, then Tanya, and then Ugo. And I'm just going to have you guys kind of introduce yourself for the rest of the group. Yeah, don't tell me the whole story about when you were 2 and skinned your knee. Just give the, you know, kind of like generally what you're interested in and what you hope to get out of this cohort, and maybe a little bit about, you know, how it's gone for you so far. Okay, so Barry, you are on first.
Okay, hi everyone. Some of you I know. I guess Cindy and I both came from A.D. Wheeler's Lightbender uh, Arcanum cohort, so I know them. I know her, and some of you I know from the different lounges that I've been in. I'm a relative newcomer to photography in general. I was retired about 2.5 years ago and looked for something to spend my time on, and decided that photography and, more importantly, post-processing was something that I was not only interested in, but I became obsessed with and had no problem devoting myself to it throughout the years so far. My main interest, I started just basically in general photography, and over time gravitated more towards fine art uh, uh, genre, mainly moving into compositions and um, really moving out of traditional photography and pushing all my images into what were more impressionistic adaptations. My goals in this cohort, which I feel fortunate to be a part of, um, is really, I think, primarily to move forward with my compositing skills and my fine art skills. Um, I personally think I've come a long way in 2.5 years, but I also know there's a lot more to learn, and that's really what I'm hoping to get from this cohort. And that's me.
Fantastic, Barry. Great. Nice to meet you. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at Barry's stuff. If you looked at his level 21 post, he is really just loves to kind of push the envelope and play. And I love that. I just love that. All right, Christian, you are up.
Okay, well, I'll try to say something meaningful. Well, I've been taking pictures since 2007, when I got my first DSLR. In the beginning, I was more or less a holiday shooter and family pictures shooter, and but I have always been interested in processing, and more or less stumbled into black and white. And well, that has been my approach to photography for a long time. You know, finding inspiration through discovering new processing techniques. And well, my goals for my time in this cohort are more or less well, getting my head around this art thing. You know, trying to gain some control over my creative process and achieve more often what I well sometimes I made it, but to achieve more often a more controlled and conscious path from the idea to the final image.
Yeah, I totally get that. That's fantastic. All right, so Cindy, you are up.
Hi, I'm Cindy Flood. What I like to shoot the most is infrared, but I'm not necessarily here to work on infrared. I really want to work on my Photoshop skills and composition. I'm just really excited to be here. I feel like we are all so lucky to be in this cohort together. And I've been shooting a DSLR since 2004, I think. Been shooting a camera for way many more years than that. But I think I wasted a lot of years just thinking that it should be how it came out of the camera. And now I want to get more into the art.
Yeah.
So that's about all.
Did you work a lot in film?
I have to say.
Did you work a lot in film? Like, did you do your own developing and stuff?
I do my own scanning, but I don't do my own developing.
Okay.
I still shoot a lot of film.
Well, I agree with you on the lucky part, but I've already said my piece on that. All right, Jennifer, you're muted right now. Let's unmute you.
Yes, sorry.
Hi, dear.
Hi.
Now, I know, Jennifer. We're actually kind of cohort members in a way because I did my fast track with Ron Clifford, and Jennifer was in Ron's cohort. So I know a little bit about Jennifer so far, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you more.
It's kind of funny. I thought about that the other day here, and I thought we'd had that big long conversation on a stream about a picture I put up, and I thought at that time, wow, wouldn't it be awesome if I ever got to be under Robin as a mentor? And here I am. It's like
so cool. So cool. I'm so glad. Yay.
Yeah. As I got it my first DSL quite a few years ago, and I ran it in all the queen modes, as they're taught, and in JPEG, and it's been a slow process since. At the beginning, I didn't want to do anything with my pictures in the sense that they needed to be the way I had taken them, and then I got into a bit more of the post-processing, and being a gardener and a master painter, I was always looking of my corals, and it just became that I was most at ease and happy when I was doing that, I guess, in my comfort zone. So I guess I maybe need to move out of that a little bit more and broaden that, but I'd really like to learn a bit about compositing, and I'm terrible at Photoshop, so I only have had it not even a year yet, so it's new for me.
Totally got it. Totally got it. Okay, and Margaret, I know you have to scooch out for a little bit, so let's just get to know you before you head out.
Okay, well, I'm Margaret. I'm up in Alaska where spring arrived this week, and it's strange to see green on the trees again. I was in Karen Hutton's cohort with Tanya for Sphere 0 and 1, and did a lot of playing around with processing and trying to find an artistic style, and I think that's probably what I'm going to continue working on, just playing around and see what feels good to me. Started out mostly looking from stock perspective, and now I'm I want to keep that, but also go branch out to more fine art style.
Great. Terrific. Yeah, that's a good place to start from, just curiosity. All right, and Rick, my buddy Rick, you were the one who posted that totally hilarious post with your outtakes. Oh my gosh, you totally made my day with that.
Well, I'm doing my best not to be accosted by bananas, but every now and then they just kind of creep in, and I but that aside,
that was totally distracting, Rick. Totally distracting.
Sure. Try not to focus on that. I'm just so thrilled to be in this cohort because to me it's like a dream come true. Just being able to focus on the artistic aspects of photography, and I just I just love being able to pour myself into an assignment, and it just gives me such freedom to be able to go out and shoot and imagine what that might be, and just this whole creative process. So I'm just really stoked, and I just very happy to be here, and I'm just really looking forward to getting to know everybody, and I love everybody's. There's so many high quality images in all of your streams and the things that you posted that it's really going to help me kind of up my game, as it were. And I also just can't wait to learn some of the composting techniques, because that will add just a whole new dimension to my photography and post-processing. So that's a little bit about me and what I'm looking forward to.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. And Stu.
Yeah, I'm Stu. You can call me whatever you want, but I would prefer that. I was in Ollie's cohort for the first 20 levels, and I ended up primarily doing landscape, which was a complete surprise to me, because when I joined I would take pictures of just about anything, but come Sphere 1 he said, no, landscape, and I thought, oh, that feels a bit limiting. So Ollie had sent me a link to the New Zealand Photography Awards and said, go look at what landscape is. And I did that, and then I realized that actually landscape isn't just mountains and trees and rivers. It can be so much more. Some of it can even be sports images or street photography or whatever. So once I'd got my head around that, I decided, yeah, landscape, I can do that. So that's what I'm focusing on still. What do I hope to get from this cohort in this sphere? A better understanding of how I can post-process and what I can do to enhance my images with Photoshop and other tools. I get the basics. I can do Lightroom and Photomatics and all that sort of stuff, but Photoshop is big and scary. So that's me.
Cool. So that you definitely will do that. I've got some challenges lined up. Some of them will be like drudgery, but I'm going to just really quickly explain to you my own path, and then I'm just sort of taking you on it because I watched it work. Okay? But you just dive into the challenges, and you just do them, and you do them, and you do them, and over time you wake up and you go, oh my gosh, I can do so much now. So that's how it works. Okay, so let's hear from Tanya. Hi, Tanya. You're muted right now.
I don't know how this is going to work. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Groovy. Oh, my house is in chaos at the moment, so hence why I'm out the front. Hi, I'm Tanya. I'm mother of 4 in Australia. I live in Australia. I have most of my experiences in Photoshop. I've been taking photos pretty much all my life, but I don't really do much in regards to... Hello?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, you got me. Yeah, sorry, I do much with my art in regards to such as more digitally and post-processing. So that's where I truly find that I can open up and make art that way. So I'm definitely up for learning more ways on capturing the photos a bit better and getting my templates and plates down so I can make my art a bit better. I tend to go for the ugly ducklings when I post-process too, so it's almost like a challenge. I find a lot of the crappy photos that I really hated are the ones that I'll stick to and I have to make better. I don't know why.
That's a fantastic way of approaching things, because one of the things is pushing yourself outside of your comfort zones where you learn the most. So if you stick to a project like that, you've done a lot of compositing already. So you may have some gifts to impart to others.
I used to when I first got into post-processing, I worked a lot on the Worth 1000 website. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it was digital composites, and it's like a big competition where people, they get given a theme, and then they go and do a composite based on that theme, and then you're sort of judged by your peers, and so it's a lot of fun. I haven't done that for a long time now, but yeah. So
Fantastic.
that's me.
All right, and on to Ugo.
Hey, so I'm Ugo from Italy here. So it looks like we have across many people from many continents. That's great. Very varied cohort. And what can I say? Just when this call came, I was watching, I don't know if you've seen this movie, it's called The Salt of the Earth, and it's about the life and work of Sebastião Salgado, who is one of the greatest photographers, greatest living photographers. And he didn't start out as a photographer. He started out as an economist. He was working for, I think, a mining company in Brazil. And then at some point, he left his job and went to Europe with his wife. And they started just taking photos. So I thought that when I grow up, I want to be Sebastião Salgado. Only in color. He mostly shoots black and white, not much color, but I mostly do shoot color. And I've been with Robin in her Google mentorship for art program for photographers some time ago. It was a great experience, so I'm really happy to be with Robin again in this new.
You've actually helped out in a lot of mentorships too, Ugo.
I've been very active. We have this spin-off, can we call it like that? It's called the mentorship for camera basics. So we take people who have like photography, but they are still using their cameras in auto mode, the green setting, the button, and we try to teach them how to move forward a bit, how to learn how to use the various modes, and how to use manual, how to use the flash. Many people are scared of, and it's a very rewarding experience if somebody wants to lend a hand. We have it's been the third instance of this community, of this mentorship, and it's we've built a great group of all the previous mentees. Most of them are now helping, giving a hand, or just staying around and cheering with the new ones. So it's really, really a great experience.
Yeah, one of the things that I was kind of happy to have Ugo around, because he is very helpful and has a lot of smarts, a lot of data to pass on. So it's awesome that you're in our group. So I'm going to open this up, and excuse me a moment. Doing the water thing. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. If you guys have any, I don't even want to say questions, but commentary about some of the things that I tossed out there for kind of the ramp up to level 23. Thoughts, ideas? What do you think of the feedback culture concept? When you guys give feedback, I don't know what you've done in your other cohorts, so I wanted to give you sort of what works the best. And part of the way that I learned was I was constantly giving others feedback on the things that they did, and what I had to do over time is really, really develop my ability to observe why something works. And the more you take the time, you know, to do that, to really figure it out, you are just adding to your own skill set as you go along. So thoughts, ideas, considerations, tell me. Anyone?
I'll jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
I guess my history in the canon with the feedback, I think you stated this, was that people would post their entire album, and then you'd have a chance to go through each image consecutively and make your comments and feedback. And I felt, and as I understand it, what you're asking for now is basically submitting single images as we work through the level and ask for feedback individually on that one image and then move to the next image and so forth. I found that when I was giving feedback, it was much easier for me to go through an entire album, let's say of 10 images, because there was some continuity to the kinds of comments that I was making, where someone had done something really well in one image, and maybe in the very next image they didn't apply the same technique, or they missed doing something that they had previously done, and it was easy to refer back that way. So I saw that as a little bit of a loss in giving of the feedback, and I don't know how others feel about it. I'd be interested to hear others.
Yeah, I totally get that, and it's a valid viewpoint. I really get what you're saying. You're seeing a similar post-processing workflow, and you want to be able to connect up each of the images that the individual does so they can see the bigger picture. Is that
right?
Generally what you're talking about? Yeah, and I totally understand that. And there's actually, of course, everybody's going to get to post the full album when they've completed. So there's still the opportunity to do that. You can do that then. So it's not being taken away from you if you would prefer to do that then. Go ahead and let the person know, hey, I'm going to, probably, if you see their first image come out and say, I'm going to wait until your full album is out and maybe give you some feedback then. I don't really want to force your experience, in your sphere too. So I have viewpoints as to what would work the best for the entire group, and I have to keep that into consideration. But of course you have to go with whatever goes along with your own logic and reason. Does that make sense? You still there, Barry? Oh yeah.
I'm there, and I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Anybody else?
I'll just add to that. Sorry, Barry. That works well too for the composites and post-processing and things like that, especially when it takes so long. Well, for myself, it takes so long to get an image. A day or two to finish an image, and it's in my style. It's going to be nothing like my next one. Yes, my style will be there, but the story will be that one image. But is it a point, Robin, maybe that we can ask when we do post the album, just on how they go as a set, or how they go if they're meant to be combined or linked somehow?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. The fellow in one of my cohorts right now, he I don't know if you guys know Enrique Peleas. I always pronounce his last name wrong. Anyway, he's working on series right now. So essentially what happens is, like in his last critique, we took a couple series in together, so we actually had more than 5 images coming into the critique, but we addressed them as a series. So I can totally see where you're coming from that, and if you have, say, a series of 3 images, or you really have a series of 5 or all 10 that is a series, then it's completely okay to say, no, I want this to be looked at as a body of work. So we have a portraitist in our group that is working on magazine publications. So she's definitely addressing them as series, and she usually has 5 to 8 images to be looked at all at once and addressed as a series in terms of continuity, etc. So you just need to take a look at how it is I want to approach this particular level, and then you can let me know and say, I'm not going to be posting for 2 or 3 weeks here until I get these whole things done. It's totally fine. Just keep in touch. Really, the bottom line for me, and that's my big thing, is just keep communicating with me. I'm actually going to make a couple of chat hangouts. One is going to be for you guys to just chat when you feel like, and the other one will be a priority chat hangout to me that no chatter goes on, but you can always, reach me. I leave my notifications on for it. I'm going to make those pretty soon. I just wanted to get everybody grooved in before I, started up the chat hangouts. But there will be one that's a direct line to me, and you can just pop in, hey, Robin, I'm going to be working on my series for the next 3 weeks, and if I'm quiet, here's why, okay? That will be available.
Cool.
Got it, Tanya? Okay. She's muted right now.
Thank you.
All right. So, anyone else?
I was going to say that on the other hand of what Barry said, there were a lot of people in our cohort who never bothered to give any critique. So I think this one at a time thing has that benefit that you might be more apt to give a critique on one than if you're faced with 10.
I agree with that.
It gets very overwhelming to have to, and here's the thing. Because really, I said 50% of your learning, but I really don't know the exact number, but it's a good portion of your learning comes about when you really try and give meaningful feedback on another's work. You're looking and you're saying, why? Why does that work? Why does it work? Or you've gone through, just a pile of challenges, and you just gotten a bunch of tools that and you want to be able to communicate about them because that's going to set them. So you say, you know what, I see the composition you did here. Look at those great, triangles. Look at that S-curve, whatever. You guys know all this stuff, so I'm not giving you anything new. But you get the idea. You learn something. If you can communicate about it right away and understand why it's working in somebody's image when they employ it, you're just seeding your knowledge. And the more you can communicate about it, the more you seed that knowledge. So, yeah.
Is an S-curve bacon related?
Absolutely. I don't know. It depends on how you cook it. And then there's the banana C curve. So here's the thing, and this is what commonly happens, and it happened a lot in my mentorships, where it's what I call the drive-by comment, the drive-by positivity. It's being a cheerleader, and being a cheerleader really it does have value, and it's completely okay. This happens sometimes. You just have way too much on your plate, but you want to go give your cohort members some love, and so you toss in a good job, every once in a while. If you're doing that all the time, you're doing yourself just a great disservice. And that's pretty much what the single image posting is. I'm attempting to obviate with that, so that you feel like you can, actually take the time. Did you guys read the interaction overload concept in the level 21? Y'all remember it? Mm-hmm. Heads nodding or something? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. The thumbs up works really, really well for me because I can see those. Anyway, so essentially, it's just when your life just gets to be too much. Don't disconnect from the cohort, but pop in, and even if it's just 2 people, take the first 2 posts off the top, if they're images, and just give them meaningful feedback, and then scoot out and go deal with your emergency, or pop in a plus post. Stay tuned, stay connected, and it'll keep your momentum going more if you do that. So if life kicks in too much and you just have too much to do, it is okay. I'm not going to get on anybody's case. You're all adults. So there isn't going to be any disciplinary thing. I'm not going to kick you out of the group, whatever. But it's going to be better for you in the long run. If things get really, really busy and you can only give 2 comments or 3 comments that day, you actually have really done a lot. It's persistence on a given course that is what gives anything power, and you power. All right, and so challenges. Let's talk about challenges. What do you guys think of the idea of launching into challenges? I'm actually curious how many of you are going to decide to go ahead and do some of those weekly challenges that I kind of piled up for you before you start into your level 23.
I think I will, because I tend to do my levels in chunks. So I'll take a set day and I'll just drive off for like 12, 14 hours, get a whole bunch of images, and then come back and process them. And then the gaps in between I'll use for the challenges. So like at the moment, I've done the second challenge, which was fun, and then I'll leave it a week just because, I'm trying to do them weekly, and then I'll do the next one and just keep on ticking along like that, I think.
Okay. Well, that's up to your time. Weekly is because I would generally post them weekly. I have them all prepped. I can give them all to you now. So do them as time, as time permits. If you have time
Do
to
it.
just
I just want to see his face.
What's that?
Just give them all to him right now. I just want to see his face.
You know I'll do them. I will do one a day or one every half a day just for you, Tanya.
Yeah, really just take on whatever you can do. Don't just because they're called a weekly challenge, it simply means that, when I see the cohort kind of dies down and is not really doing the weekly challenges, then I'll just start posting them weekly so you have something to kind of, always to grab onto and make sure you always do at least something weekly moving towards your goals. But don't take the weekly name as something extremely literal.
Do we have to have an okay? Do we have to have an okay from you to move on to the next one? Do you have to plus the one post that we've done?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will. Again, we're not talking school here. I will come and comment on when you do challenges. I'll come and comment on them, and if there is any data that needs to be added, or I'll just, I will do the drive-by cheerlead stuff. Way to go. And really all my little way to go is just saying, yep, you got it right, go for it, continue on. But you don't have to wait for that. Really, honestly, it's like saying, I encountered 14 words in this book that I'm reading, and I want to go look them up, but I have to wait before I look up the next one until somebody validates whether I got, it's your own pace, your own speed. Take it as fast or as slow as you want.
So question, sorry, Robin. Do we have to do those challenges in order to? So because I'm late off the bat here, do I go and start with the 0 weekly challenge?
Yep. Absolutely. And the reason I say this is because I actually really designed them to build upon each other. So it's like saying the biggest picture, then the big picture, then the less, and down to the minutia. And that's the way the challenges are laid out. Now, unfortunately, my website, the way I post these things, when I started out, it was just doing them nice and neatly and in order by number, and I have no idea what happened, but they're all messed up now, and I'm so sorry about that. So you have to find the number you last did and then just do the next number. Yes, please do them in order. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else going to do any challenges? Or are you going to launch right into your level 23?
I'm going to do them while I figure out Photoshop for 22.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You've already tried a bit, haven't you, Margaret?
I have never used it at all. I've used Paint, Corel Paint, and it drove me insane. I couldn't stand it. And I think it's set up very similarly.
Okay, give it a try. Give me a shout out if it's just like, oh my gosh, this is completely over my head, and I will give you something that's a little bit less of a hill, so that you have a little, some of the basic precepts for your launching. Because we're talking about this is professional masking, so if you can tackle it, great. You'll get a large round of applause from the peanut gallery for sure. Okay. Anyway, Christian, you were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say that I hate the challenges because they always move me way out of my comfort zone, which means that that's where I learn the most, and that is why I will do them all. Yes, of course. But it's always the same. I hate them while I do them, and then I'm totally happy once I've done it. So yes, I'm definitely going to do them.
That was really fantastic input because yeah, it's really true. The thing that is causing you the most pain. Okay, bye Margaret. She's scooting out. So the thing that's causing you the most pain is usually the one that you're going to probably grow the most from, unless of course you have your hand over the oven, the stove. But yeah, it's a valid point to enter in here. That is part of the reason why I chose the sky replacement and using channels for your level 22, because it's quite a chunk to bite off and it's pretty darn uncomfortable. And other than I feel like I left out one step in there in telling you guys just Command or Control click on the blue channel copy to make a selection out of it. That was, I think, a big, huge frustration for a lot of folks. But otherwise, you guys have been just tackling it and diving in. So I'm really, like, amazed with all of you so far.
I was just doing Ron Clifford's layers, masks, and modes, 201.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing it, I don't know, using color range or focus, something like that. And I hadn't got that mastered, and you say, oh, we're going to do it through the channels. And I went, what? What are they?
Yeah, actually, yeah, you can do color range. Color range is great. I use it an awful lot for making masks because sometimes, you're not getting enough separation in the red, the green, or the blue, but you can sort of figure out what a specific color is. But actually, when we're talking about replacing skies, when we're talking about that differentiation between blue skies, which is what it is most often, and reds and yellows that are in trees, etc. The channels are your best way to go. But yeah, it is really about play. I mean, it is how I taught myself Photoshop, because you're not going to break anything unless you for some reason save over your original file, which nobody really does anymore these days. But if that's the only way you could ever break anything, is you just like replace your original file and okay, now it's gone. But we're not talking about a debacle. We're not talking about anything horrible. It's an image. But the bottom line is, if you just learn to make a copy, you can just keep doing anything that you want. So how I learned Photoshop was just I would click on that and say, what does that do? And it's interesting because Photoshop will have these words in it that it's like, okay, I know what that word means, but I have no idea what this tool means. It's usually because there's some slightly different use of the term, and you just need either a bigger dictionary or just a broader definition for it. But that's how I learned Photoshop. I would look up the words, and figure out, well, what has that got to do with photography or editing? What are they why are they using that word? And then I would just play with the tools and say, what does that do? What does that do? What does that do? Over and over and over again. And so that really is the bottom line to all of you guys really, really getting a good, solid handle on Photoshop finally, is to just play with it and, see what it's doing. And then when you're like, okay, but why did it do it that way? Then you go do a little bit of research, and you just kind of back and forth between play and experimentation. And then, researching the whys behind it, and it just grows. It grows. Just don't ever let yourself get like totally frustrated. If it's just like you're in tears, just walk away. Go get a snack, go take a walk, whatever.
But I think it's very important to have the right attitude when you're playing, and that I think is that it's not really about getting a result. If I try to learn something and at the same time try to create a great image, I will most likely fail and be frustrated. And so if I want to learn Photoshop or any other app, I'm just doing it for the sake of trying and not for the sake of creating something beautiful.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's actually feeding the muse when you do that. How many of you guys use like Lightroom presets? Show of hands. Yeah. And really, I mean, I prefer over time that you get out of the idea of needing presets, because it is best to understand what the program is doing, so that you can tweak really based on your own vision. But presets are great for just getting ideas. It's like a brainstorming session to me, you know, to slap something on. Now, I don't really use presets because I've been in Photoshop for so long. I've actually been in Lightroom far less time than I have been in Photoshop. But it's the same kind of thing in Photoshop. Grab an adjustment layer, and you just play with it and get ideas from it. Okay, that's interesting. And you're trying to, and then you try and identify why. Why is that interesting? You know, that thing.
That's how I learned Lightroom, is looking at presets and then going in and seeing which each little preset, you know, all the little things that it was. And so, in a way, I've kind of learned almost to the point where I don't need the preset, but I still like it for inspiration.
Yeah, totally got that. There's you know, actions in Photoshop. There's a lot of people on the web that'll give you free actions. Anybody know about those?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, and those are really great to decompile too. You go in and, I mean, and it zips through and it adds, like, you know, 47 steps to your history, and you just start clicking back. Now, what did it do there? What did it do there? Really great way to learn. You know.
Yeah.
I'd love to watch you work in Photoshop, Robin. Just be a fly on the wall. I'm like a monkey with chalk drawing on a wall. I have the most old-fashioned ways to work. I want to learn the easier and better ways to do it.
You know, I would actually, yeah, maybe like to do that. Maybe once a month we can have like that kind of group hangout thing, and I just process in front of you. But to be honest with you, I don't always know what I'm going for in the beginning, but it does come to me as I go. So I don't know that it's going to be like logically ordered, so that you look at it and go, okay, yeah, I totally get what she did. That said, because I wanted all of you to get something for your tuition, you know, the little value added is essentially that your critique hangout, I actually would like to spend, you know, very little time on critiquing your images. Because I think you guys have had enough critique so far so that you get a rough idea of really some of the basics that tend to come up in critiques. What I would like to do with your time is you can pick my brain on post-processing. So if you say, okay, I want to know how you start figuring out what you want to do in a composite, or you know, that's our time together, and so we're going to just do an hour and a half, between an hour and hour and a half. You know, it'll sort of be depending on, you know, how crazy life is at the time, but I really want you guys to kind of prepare yourself as you go along. I know I'm going to want to ask Robin about this, or I'm going to want to ask Robin about that. I think I have enough experience that I can answer most questions, except, you know, like video, and I hate their 3D engine, so if, you know, you guys have older Photoshop extended and you want to ask about 3D, I'm just going to tear my hair out in front of you. That's what I did when I used their 3D engine. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, post-processing ahead. So, Tanya, you can pick my brain then. Just be collecting questions. Be collecting things you want to know about. Or you guys can even bring, say, I want to put this together with that. Show me how. And I will do stuff like that for you. Okay, but we'll talk about it as you come to the close. You're going to say?
I find sometimes just watching somebody post-process, I pick up so many little things I never knew could be done, even if it's just a keyboard click. Sometimes I'll just be blown away by some keyboard click I never knew existed.
Yeah. Well, you guys all know that you can create your own shortcuts, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Not giving you any magic there. All right. Any other questions? I don't know if I got. Is everybody here going to just dive right into their level 23, or is everybody here going to do challenges? We know Stuart's going to do challenges, Christian's going to do challenges. Barry, what are you going to do?
I'm going to jump into level 23.
Okay. And Cindy, what are you going to do?
I'm going to do both. Is that okay to start? But
yeah, and I actually recommend it. It's like, okay, go do a couple challenges, then go do a work. In fact, whenever you feel inspired, if you do it one challenge and you say, oh my gosh, I get that, I want to go play with it in this one image, I want to process in the direction of that particular theme, go for it, do it. Do it as it inspires you while you have the energy to do it. And you know what, James? I don't think we've actually, you've had a chance to introduce yourself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, Jim Spencer, one of the recent additions to the cohort, so I will be catching up over the next couple of weeks, I suspect. I still have to work on my level 21 post. But really see a lot of activity here, see a lot of interactions, and it's just really exciting to see how this group is already coming together.
Great. And so I'm not going to ask you about your level 23 yet because it's a little premature. Okay, Jennifer, what are you going to do?
I'm going to work on the challenges. I haven't quite decided where I want to go with level 23 yet. I haven't had an inspiration or an aha moment yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, feed the muse for a while and see what comes of it. Mm-hmm. And Rick, did you already say?
I'm still doing. I'm going to do my level 22, and then I'll probably do both when I get to 23 Batman challenges because I really enjoy. I just really enjoy the challenges.
Okay, so kind of work it back and forth. Great. And then Tanya, what was it you were going to do? Challenges or straight into your 23 or a little bit both?
I might start with 21.
Oh my God, that's right. You're just like sort of always around me. Tanya is one of the Arcana heroes. If you guys don't know her by now, I'm sure you do. So yeah, forgive me, Tanya. You're right. You actually.
No. I was going to pop my head in and just say, well, I think I might start with 21.
Okay, well, we first brought you on for comic relief anyway, so. and then Ugo, what are you going to do?
I think I'll try to do both if I can.
All right. Okay, fair enough. So, this is it, man. This is before we hit the big level 23 thing. This is your last chance to ask me questions or get mad at me for what I've done to you. Anyone? Cool. Okay. So the fact that you're not saying anything means I can just do anything I want with you.
Anything bacon related.
Anything bacon related, absolutely. Okay, well, I think unless anybody has something deep and meaningful to add, then we shall see you all back in the cohort. And yeah, we'll have to do this more often. Maybe we'll do a big post-processing hang-up. Post-processing palooza is what I think it's John Arnold calls them, post-processing paloozas. All right, kids. So I wish you
Thanks, Robin.
all a wonderful week, and I will see you back in the cohort.
Bye.
Thanks, Robin.
Bye-bye.